Have all of the council received and reviewed their meeting packages? Our agenda will only deal with essential business. Correspondence and matters under review are provided as deferred business list, which will be maintained until we assume normal posture. Does any member of council have information pertaining to a matter before this council which has not been publicly circulated? I will remind members of council that we are in decision-making mode and we should be mindful of our decision-making wheel. We have committed to making balanced and respectful decisions and adhering to our code of conduct. You will be voting by poll. The chair will call your name and ask, "How say you?" This method permits us to verbally record your vote. Are there any conflict of interest issues we should be aware of before the meeting commences? CEO Rice, could you please take the roll call?
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. At this time, we do have 2 members of council who have not connected. That is Councillor Andrew and Deputy Mayor Gerard. But oh, just a minute. Okay. Deputy Mayor Gerard has just connected.
All right, thank you. So you have before you the proposed agenda. Are there any additions or deletions?
Where's my name? Here we go.
Councillor Maxwell?
Yes, raised hand. There we go.
All right.
Yes, I was just looking at the points of discussion on the election, the appointing, under appointing of the return officer or whatever, on the second page at the top. The points of discussion. I thought we discussed the tightening up of the voter.
Are you talking about the agenda?
Oh, the agenda. No, I was doing the minutes.
Okay,
sorry.
I need a motion on the agenda, please.
Sorry, yeah. I'll move that.
Thank you.
I'm ahead of you.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lynn. Oh, sorry, Councillor Pulsifer.
It's okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I know it's a little slower. All right, moving on. Now, approval of the agenda. You have before you the minutes of February 24th have been distributed. Are there any errors or omissions? Councillor Maxwell, you had something you wanted to.
Yes, I just wanted to ask a question about the points of discussion on page 2. We talked about the election and we had talked some about election signs, but I thought we also discussed tightening up on the voters list so that we were a little bit tighter on the verification of residence of voters.
Okay, I think that this was only with regards to the returning officer.
Okay, where would that show up? Like, I think that's something
that will be, you'll see that on next month's minutes.
Okay.
That was in March's CAC.
Okay. So
you'll see it,
would
yeah.
be there. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Worship. I wasn't present at that meeting, but when I was reviewing the minutes, there were 2 recommendations made to council. One was on page 4. It was the Calkin building adjustment. And it showed that it was moved by Councillor Bolland and seconded by Councillor Andrew. But then when it shows councillors who voted in favor of the motion.
What item is she on, Sandra?
Sorry.
Typo.
Okay, skip that one. Sorry, that's a mistake I made. I'm going to go to number 5 under reports and recommendations. And then there was the sundry account write-off. Sorry, that's the one I was wondering about. So it shows that there was discussion around it. It said it was moved by Councillor Bolland, seconded by Councillor Pulsifer. But then when it comes down to motion failed, it shows that the councillors who voted against this motion were Andrew, Bolland, Gerard, and Maxwell. I thought that must have been a typo where Councillor Bolland moved the motion.
You sure she's not looking at?
No, it's not an error. It's fine to move a motion and then not vote in favor of it.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Permissible.
Okay.
Solicitor?
Jeff, your mic's off. And Mayor Snow's asked you a question.
Unmute me. I didn't hear the question, sorry.
Okay, the question is, a person can move a motion and not vote for
Oh,
it.
yes, yes, and sorry, I thought you answered that question and you were right on.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Sorry
Councillor-
about that. I thought it was a typo, but it's not. So that's
No,
great.
it's not a typo.
Thank you.
Councillor Maxwell, your hand is up. Your mic is,
Oh my God.
Thank you. I had another question. Under recommendation to council on page 2, this would be on the on the Calkin building, where we voted down that motion. There was a second part to that motion that said, and further that the Calkin building remain on the market beyond March 31st, that council approve a budget allocation for the hiring of a professional property management company.
Excuse me.
When I voted down that, I voted down the entire thing. So do we need to make a clarification on that?
no,
It's there.
it's there. That's the motion as written, and it was voted down.
So the whole thing, so we're not hiring a professional property management or anything, company?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. I just needed a clarification on that.
Councillor Andrew, welcome. All right, so for the minutes, is there anything else on the minutes? All right, moving on.
Sorry, I can't move them. I wasn't there. Sorry.
That's okay. It's a yes or a no, and there's no changes to what was written. So the secretary has all of this information taken care of. No problem. All right, moving on to our next item of business. Under unfinished business, we have a request for decision, a reconsideration of motion for Town of Kentville sundry write-off. And Councillor Andrew, that is yours.
Yeah. I'm trying to think how I can see you guys and bring all this stuff up, but
Do you have your package?
you mean like a hard copy package?
Yes, yes.
No, I do not have a hard copy.
Okay.
My apologies.
Okay, well, I can speak to it on your behalf,
Okay,
and
thank you.
and then if you can take it, because I've got the hard copy here.
Yes.
All right. So at the February 10th, 2020 CAC meeting, the Director of Finances recommended that a sundry receivable account in the amount of $563.94 be written off. This was defeated by council, and the request is due to lack of understanding on the write-off. I move that council reconsider the motion to write off the sundry receivable account in the amount of $563.94. I voted against that motion. Respectfully submitted, John Andrew, councillor.
Is this Mayor Snow? May I address that at this point?
Certainly, yes, please.
Okay. So afterwards, it just it sat wrong, and not just did it seem wrong. We've certainly done write-offs before, and we've trusted our finance director before. So I did follow up. I don't mind sharing with council. I did follow up with our finance director and also Mayor Snow, and just to clarify what this was on the surface. I read it as, hey, we're owed money, and why the heck would we waive that under any normal circumstances? But then after I sought clarification, realized there never was any money. It really was a technicality. I don't know if I'm explaining that as well as the finance director had me convinced and sold. Not that she was trying to convince me, but I was really seeking information because I felt uncomfortable with how it had kind of unfolded, and I'm, I think I'm right in saying there never was going to be any money received as a result of that, what was put before us. So the recommendation from the finance director made complete sense, actually, to me, in hindsight.
All right, thank you. So we have a motion on the table, and you have moved that. Is that correct?
Yes,
A motion,
yes,
okay,
please.
motion to reconsider. If I could have a seconder.
I'll second that.
Thank you. So we have a motion that has been moved and seconded to reconsider, to reconsider and approve the motion to write off the sundry receivable account in the amount of $563.94. Is there any discussion? Councillor Maxwell.
Okay, I just have a question. When I was reading this, I realized it was because of an accident that happened, and that Public Works cleaned it up, and that nobody submitted an insurance claim. I don't know that I had that much of an understanding of it before, but I'm wondering why we would clean up that accident without, was it an absolutely necessary thing that we had to clean up, or why was the town of Kentville asked to clean up after an accident in which an insurance claim probably should have been submitted but never was?
I don't have the answer to that. I suspect there might have been an oil spill or glass or debris on the road where we went and swept. And, typically when there's an accident, we bring our sweeper in. Like, I don't know if you remember last year or not, but one of the big trucks coming off of West Main Street had stopped beside the Ultramar and had basically dumped a load of gravel because their chute wasn't closed properly, and the town went in and cleaned that up. So I suspect that it would have been much the same, that there was debris on the road, so they would call the town of Kentville. The solicitor, please.
I can just add to that. If it's the town street, the town's responsible for the cleanup. So whatever might be on the street, the town cleans it up, and it would be typical to then attempt to recoup that, usually through an insurer. If it's an automobile accident, then there's supposed to be insurance in place, and typically an insurer to respond.
Thank you. Councillor Maxwell, does that provide you with the response that you're looking for?
I don't understand then why the people that were involved in the accident did not submit an insurance claim, and then why, if we submitted an insurance claim to recoup back, why we wouldn't be accepted for that recoup of the money. I don't understand that.
Can I just add?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I can speak to that. I don't know the particular circumstances of this matter, but as the claimant, you don't get to put it through to the insurance company. You simply get to put it through to the person at fault. Whether they pass it on to their insurer is up to them. It may well have been below their deductible amount, so their insurer wouldn't respond in any event. And then the town has to decide whether to pursue the person at fault or not, typically through the small claims court process.
So I'm just wondering, did we follow that process outlined by the solicitor? Did we submit to the person who was presumed to be at fault in this accident?
It was over 3 years old.
Okay.
So just so you know that I don't know what the exact circumstances were around the cause of the outstanding receivable, but it was over 3 years old, and every effort has been made to collect it. It's gone out to a collection agency, and we have been told by the collection agency it is not recoverable, and so therefore it'll be written off. If that's, we will continue to try to recover it. And if at some time we do, then it would just be recorded as miscellaneous revenue at that time. But we've been told by our collector that it is not recoverable at this point in time.
So what I'm taking from that is that we did not submit the bill to one of the people who was involved in the accident.
The bill was submitted. That's what created the receivable.
Right.
It's the fact that we're not able to trace that person down to collect it. It's
So no-
non-collectible.
No police claim, no police report or anything.
Well, we don't, it's not a police report, it's a collection agency.
Yeah, no, I mean,
And
who,
I don't know if it was a traffic accident or not, Councillor Maxwell. That's
Okay.
something I don't know. I
Alright.
just know that there was an invoice generated. It was sent to the party, and over 3 years, we were not able to recoup the money or collect it. And the report that came back from the collection agency was that it is not recoverable at this time.
okay, thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, no, I had a bunch of questions like Kathy, and it doesn't make any sense whatsoever that we can't go after, who was the claim submitted to? Just to RSA, or was it submitted at the time to, just to say, we're just going to let it go, and or what we should do in this matter is we should set a policy to say, if the town is going to go out and clean up because of something that happened, yes, there are streets. It's our responsibility to clean up. But if we are going to do that, then somebody's going to recoup us.
I can try, if you just give me a few seconds, I'll see if I can find out exactly what the circumstance was. Okay, I've sent a message to the Department of Finance just to see if I can get an answer for you. One thing I do want to bring to your attention while I'm waiting is your policy, G50F, collection of accounts. That policy actually contradicts itself, and the policy is going to have to be amended. On 4.0, I'm sorry, 2.0 under definitions, it gives the chief administrative officer the authority to write off amounts over $500. It gives the director of finance authority to write off amounts between $300 and $500. But then when it gets down to procedures, it says all amounts that are over $50, excluding interest, shall be submitted to town council for approval of write-off. So one part of the policy contradicts the other. So the policy needs to be amended to reflect which procedure that council wishes to follow.
Have we got anything back?
I'm going to call him. Deb, the outstanding receivable that was for $563.94. Can you tell me what that was? What? Is that a street accident, a car, vehicular accident?
Just wondering if the CAO should be muted while she's on her call.
Mayor Snow, if I could ask a question just while CAO Rice is on the phone.
Certainly.
In order to amend the policy, do we have to wait for our next meeting to do that, or could we? We'll probably wait till the next meeting.
It won't even come to meeting. it would go to the deferred list.
Okay, great. Yeah.
And staff would do a proposed amendment.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, CAO.
So I do have an answer. It was a traffic accident. The police were there. This was a result of the insurance company not paying. So they didn't clean it up. Our public works crew went in and cleaned it up. We billed the insurance company. The insurance company stated that they weren't responsible. We billed the person that was involved and trying to collect it from them, and we weren't able to collect it, and they have basically disappeared, and collection agencies can't find them.
Okay.
And if council so wishes, they can just direct me to look at the policy to come back with some recommendations once we resume our normal CAC meetings.
Thank you, CAO. So can we proceed with the current motion on the table? Are you ready for the question?
Question.
All right, this is the first time we'll go through the polls. So I will start with Councillor Maxwell. How say you?
Yes.
Councillor Savage, how say you?
Yes, thank you.
Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Andrew, how say you?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Pulsifer, how say you?
Yes.
I say yes as well. The motion is passed. And as requested by the CAO, for her to take this away and review the policy. I don't think we need a motion for that, as she has already requested that she take this task on, but it will go on our deferred business. All right, moving on to our next piece of business is the finalization of the Crescent Avenue land sale. So at the February 24th, 2020 council meeting, council approved the closure of a portion of Crescent Avenue for the use by Glooscap Curling Club to meet the accessibility criteria. The land must now be sold to complete the process. So we have a recommendation and a motion that council approve the sale of lot K as shown in plan of survey drawing number 190222-04, prepared by Dylan Mossman of Able Engineering Services, Inc. to Glooscap Curling Club of Kentville, Nova Scotia, the land formerly known as Crescent Avenue portion, to Glooscap Curling Club for $1.
So moved.
Thank
Second.
you.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that council approve the sale of lot K as shown in plan of survey drawing number 190222-04, prepared by Dylan Mossman, Able Engineering Service, Inc. to Glooscap Curling Club of Kentville, Nova Scotia, the land formerly known as Crescent Avenue, a portion, to Glooscap Curling Club for $1. Discussion?
Question.
Jennifer? Okay, go ahead.
Could I just get clarification on who moved that? It was a bit messy and I wasn't looking at the screen.
Councillor Savage moved and Councillor Andrew seconded.
Thank you very much.
All right. And you're ready for the question. The question is on approval of the sale of lot K as shown in plan of survey drawing number 190222-04, prepared by Dylan Mossman, Able Engineering Service, Inc. to Glooscap Curling Club of Kentville, Nova Scotia, the land formerly known as Crescent Avenue portion, to Glooscap Curling Club for $1. Deputy Mayor, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Savage, how say you?
Yes, thank you.
Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Andrew, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Pulsifer, how say you?
Yes.
I say yes. Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you.
Your worship.
All right, we're moving on to who has their hand up? Oh,
Your
Jeff?
worship.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry.
I just wanted to confirm that the intent of that motion was as it appeared in what Bev Gentleman drafted. There was just language about the addition to the adjoining property. It was intended that all that language be part of that motion, I presume.
Certainly, the attached resolution will be part of the motion.
Good, thank you.
And you all have that that full resolution in your package. All right, our recommendations will be read by Councillor Savage and moved as such by her, and then I will again poll you. Councillor Savage, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Worship. The first recommendation to council is re the withdrawal of capital reserves. At the March 9th, 2020 meeting of CAC, Director Kroll presented her report outlining the need to withdraw funds from the town's capital reserve to support the various projects, including paving, public garden, and gateway signage. That CAC recommend for approval the withdrawal of $12,439.38 from the town of Kentville Capital Reserve General Allocation. The town of Kentville Capital Reserve General Allocation contains $901,976, and after the withdrawal, it will contain $889,537. I recommend to Council Advisory Committee that the attached resolution be approved with the withdrawal of $12,439.38 from the town of Kentville Capital Reserve General Allocation Reserve. This transfer will partially fund several capital acquisitions as denoted above during the 2019-2020 year. After this approval, I recommend that the resolution be forwarded to the next meeting of Town Council for ratification. I so move.
Second.
Thank you. Councillor Andrew, how say you? Oh, we haven't had discussion, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself here. So it's been moved and seconded that council approve the withdrawal of $12,439.38 from the town of Kentville Capital Reserve General Allocation. Is there any discussion? The question, are you ready for the question? The question is on adoption of the motion to approve the withdrawal of $12,439.38 from the town of Kentville Capital Reserve General Allocation. Councillor Andrew, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gerard, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Savage, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Pulsifer, how say you?
Yes.
I say yes as well. The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on.
Next recommendation is re the withdrawal for capital equipment reserves. At the March 9th, 2020 meeting of CAC, Director Kroll presented her report outlining the need to withdraw funds from the town's capital equipment reserve to support the purchase of capital equipment. That Council Advisory Committee recommend for approval the withdrawal of $27,054.47 from the Capital Equipment Reserve to partially fund 2019-2020 transportation equipment acquisitions. Excuse me, sorry. The town of Kentville Capital Equipment Reserve contains $136,973, and after the withdrawal, it will contain $109,919. I recommend to CAC that the attached resolution be approved for a withdrawal of $27,054.47 from the town of Kentville Capital Equipment Reserve to partially fund 2019-2020 transportation equipment acquisitions. After this approval, I recommend that the resolution be forwarded to the next meeting of Town Council for ratification. I so move.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? No
Question?
discussion? Are you ready for the question? The question is on adoption of the motion to approve the withdrawal of $27,054.47 from the Town of Kentville Capital Equipment Reserve to partially fund 2019-2020 transportation equipment acquisition. Councillor Pulsifer, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Savage, how say you?
Yes, thanks.
I say yes. Deputy Mayor, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Andrew, how say you?
Yes.
The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on.
The next recommendation to council, redebenture funds. At the March 9th, 2020 meeting of CAC, Director Kroll presented her report on the debenture funds that will be issued to the Town of Kentville by the Nova Scotia Municipal Finance Corp this year. The Council Advisory Committee recommend for approval, the pre-approval of debenture issuance for the following. TBR, Temporary Borrowing Resolution /19-2001, various $529,700. TBR-16/17-03, Robinson Building, $96,400. There's a memo here.
You don't have to read that. What you had on the front page is satisfactory.
Okay. So move. I so move.
Thank you.
Second it.
Thank you. So it has been moved and seconded that council approve the pre-approval of debenture issuance of $626,100 for the following: TBR 19-20-01, various $529,700, and TBR 16-17-03, Robinson Building, $96,400. And after ratification, it be signed and forwarded to the Nova Scotia Municipal Finance Corp to complete our debenture issue in the spring of 2020. Is there any discussion? Councillor Maxwell.
Thank you. I'm just wondering what various is. I never liked the word just blanket various. Like, I kind of like to know what's in that, if we can know what's in
The whole, if I can interrupt, Your Worship, the whole thing is described in the council package. Everything that's under various is there.
It's a temporary borrowing resolution, Schedule A, should be in your package.
Okay.
Skid steer, road paving.
Okay. I don't see. Oh, temporary borrowing resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So what's following after this is this, or what?
It's all part of the same motion.
So the next one up is the Kentville Police Building.
No,
Isn't it?
operating reserves is the next one up. So this would be page, you want to look at page 42 of 131. Do you have page numbers on the bottom of your documents?
42.
So look at page 42 of 131 pages.
I don't have a page 42.
Do you have page numbers on the bottom?
Yeah, on the bottom. Yeah, I don't.
Do you have one that looks like this?
No, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, but if it's there, if you have it, that's good.
It is there.
Matter.
So it would have been what we approved during the capital budget.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
All right, if there's no further discussion, are you ready for the question? The question is on adoption of the motion to approve the pre-approval of debenture issuance of $626,100 for the following: TBR 1920-01, various at $529,700, TBR 1617-03, the Robinson Building at $96,400. And after ratification, that it be signed and forwarded to the Nova Scotia Municipal Finance Corporation to complete our debenture issuance for the spring of 2020. Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Pulsifer, how say you?
Yes.
I say yes. Councillor Savage, how say you?
Yes, thank you.
Councillor Andrew, how say you?
Yes.
Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on.
The next recommendation to council is a withdrawal from the operating reserves. At the March 9th, 2020 meeting of CAC, Director Kroll presented her report on the management of the town's operating fund on March 31st, 2020 to avoid a year-end deficit position. That CAC recommend a blanket resolution for a possible withdrawal from the Town of Kentville operating reserve in the amount of any current operating deficit, should one occur at March 30th, 2020. After all year-end transactions are quantified, these funds will be transacted only if the town was facing a current operating deficit end of year. I so move.
Thank you. And that should be March 31st, 2020 and not March 30th.
Oh, I'm sorry. It does say 31st here, but I may have said 30th. My
Okay, thank
apologies.
you. I just wanted to clarify that. So we've got, it's been moved. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Councillor Bolland. So it has been moved and seconded that council approve a blanket resolution for a possible withdrawal from the Town of Kentville operating reserve in the amount of any current operating deficit should one occur at March 31st, 2020, after all year-end transactions are quantified. These funds will be transacted only if the town was facing a current operating deficit at year-end. Is there any discussion? No discussion. You're ready for the question. The question is on adoption of the motion to approve a blanket resolution for a possible withdrawal from the Town of Kentville operating reserve in the amount of any current operating deficit should one occur at March 31st, 2020, after all year-end transactions are quantified. These funds will be transacted only if the town was facing a current operating deficit at end of year. Councillor Andrew, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Savage, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Pulsifer, how say you?
Yes.
I say yes. The motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on.
Thank you, Worship. The next recommendation to council, read temporary boring resolution, the Kentville Police Station. At the March 9th, 2020 meeting of Council Advisory Committee, Director Kroll presented her report at the Nova Scotia Municipal Finance Corp debenture relating to the construction of the Kentville Police Service Building in 2004-2005. That council authorized the temporary boring resolution TBR 20-21.01 to refinance the Town of Kentville Police Station in the amount of $300,000. After ratification, it be signed and forwarded to the Minister for Department of Municipal Affairs for provincial authorization. I so move.
Thank
Second.
you. That was Councillor
Second.
Bolland.
Yep.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that council authorize the temporary borrowing resolution TBR 2021-01 to refinance the Town of Kentville Police Station in the amount of $300,000. After ratification, it be signed and forwarded to the Minister for the Department of Municipal Affairs for provincial authorization. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, are you ready for the question? The question is on adoption of the motion to authorize a temporary borrowing resolution TBR 2021-01 to refinance the Town of Kentville Police Station in the amount of $300,000. After ratification, it be signed and forwarded to the Minister for Department of Municipal Affairs for provincial authorization.
Mayor Snow,
Yes.
can I make just a comment? Sorry, I should have spoke up around the discussion point. Folks, I just wanted to share with you an email that I sent to Deborah yesterday, and I should have copied everybody, but I didn't, so I apologize. I asked her around the $300,000 Bloom payment that we're extending for another 5 years, and if she could explain if it would be repaid in full at the end of 5 years, and does it prohibit us from borrowing additional funds for the KPS land and building. She came back and said that the final amount owing on the KPS building will be paid in full at the end of the term, and that the town is never at the maximum borrowing limits of 15% of own source revenue. And if it needed to borrow more money for the KPS building, we would have that capacity and be able to borrow. However, there are no major building plans for the Lander building for KPS that she is aware of. So I just thought I would share that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we'll go to the vote. Councillor Pulsfer, how say you?
Yes.
I say yes. Councillor Savage, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, how say you?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Andrew, how say you?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried unanimously. Moving on.
And the last recommendation to council, King's Transit Authority 2020-2021 budget. At the March 9th, 2020 meeting of CAC, General Manager of King's Transit Authority, Glenn Bannon, gave his presentation about activities for the 2019-2020 season and shared the proposed 2020-2021 budget. During the new business portion of the meeting, CAO Rice reviewed the presentation and budget by the King's Transit Authority for the 2020-2021 fiscal year. I move that Council Advisory Committee recommends approval to Council on March 30th, 2020 of the King's Transit Authority approved 2020-2021 operational budget in the amount of $1,860,184, of which $194,341 is the town of Kentville, and the 2020-2021 capital budget in the amount of $80,000, of which $16,000 is the town of Kentville share under the municipal agreement. The total commitment to the town of Kentville 2020-2021 operational budget is $210,341. I so move.
Thank you. Thank you.
Second.
That was Councillor Maxwell, the seconder.
Yep.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. The council approved the King's Transit Authority approved 2020-2021 operational budget in the amount of $1,860,184, of which $194,341 is the town of Kentville, and the 2020-2021 capital budget in the amount of $80,000, of which $16,000 is the town of Kentville share under the municipal agreement. The total commitment to the town of Kentville 2021 operational budget is $210,341. Is there any discussion? Councillor Maxwell.
I'm noticing under their operating and capital budget, the pressures that they talk about is, one of the pressures is the size of the administrative staff. I'm just wondering if King's Transit is planning to take any steps to reducing the size of the administrative staff, or what does that refer to?
Not that there's been any discussion with the partners.
Has there been any discussion? I don't know.
No, I'm saying there hasn't been any discussion at this level, the CAO level.
Here.
Can't hear.
CAO's mic is off.
Sorry. No, up until this point, there's been no discussion around that at the CAO level.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Andrew, do you have anything as the point of contact on that committee?
No. I realize there has been communication from our solicitor, I believe, to King's Transit.
I'm talking with regards to administrative staff only.
No, there has been no discussion about that, but I certainly, if you know, if council felt that was something that needed to be discussed, I certainly would carry that forward.
I think what Councillor Maxwell is bringing up is that King's Transit has identified that as
Yeah.
one of their pressures. So whether or not they're actually taking action on it or not.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
My feeling is that it is a pressure, but given and it feels like for the last 3 years, King's Transit has been in transition. But there has been a transition in some ways, in spite of the current circumstances. There is an emerging from that, and so I think it's probably a more realistic discussion 6 months, or depending on the circumstances, down the road. I think that probably every one of those people has been essential in bringing King's Transit out of a relatively tough time. But I think the authority is on far better footing. But I think it's something that's going to have to be discussed. It's one thing to throw it out there and say it's a pressure, but what are you going to do about it internally? And so whether I'm involved with King's Transit in 6 months or whenever we emerge from this present crisis, that is a point of discussion to be had for sure.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Maxwell?
That's good. Thank you.
Excellent.
Mayor Snow, can I just make a comment on that? I think one of the things, and obviously before their operating budget was completed, they would have had no idea how low the gas prices were going to go. And I mean, certainly, I know for a client base of mine that runs trucking companies, etc., it's reducing their operating budget in some respects by 50 to 60%. So that'll be a huge, have huge impact savings for them for the ensuing at least 6 months, probably 12. So thank you.
Thank you. And just so you realize, King's Transit right now is operating with no fares. So there is no incoming revenue. So I think the benefit of the gas prices is probably going to offset the lack of revenue. Councillor Andrew, go ahead, please.
If I may, King's Transit has ceased operating at this time. There was an order issued by the province, but after much digging and some kicking on the part of some members of the authority, the order was actually for the city of Halifax and Cape Breton regional municipality. It wasn't actually for the rural services. And so as an authority member, I feel much better, even though it was a hard decision. None of us, well, most of us on the authority, I think, and the authority in general, came out with a decision that we couldn't assure safety with this issue around the virus. And so we felt more comfortable shutting the service down. So there was some confusion, and for which we are very sorry. And we tried to adhere to the provincial order. The service resumed on Saturday and has ceased operations once again.
Excellent. Thank you for that update. Is there any further discussion? Are you ready for the question? The question is on approval of the King's Transit Authority approved 2020-2021 operational budget in the amount of $1,860,184, of which $194,341 is the town of Kentville, and 2020-2021 capital budget in the amount of $80,000, of which $16,000 is the town of Kentville's share under the municipal agreement. The total commitment to the town of Kentville 2020-2021 operational budget is $210,341. Councillor Andrew, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Pulsfer, how say you?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Savage, how say you?
Yes.
And I say yes, the motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, we're moving on to Councillor and Mayor's reports. The reports are provided as part of the package. We will dispense with reading these unless there is a member of council who needs to bring business specific to budgetary or to COVID-19. I would ask that unless you have something very specific, that we move on to accept the council reports. So please just use the raise hand. Councillor Ballin, please.
I just raised my hand as you suggested. Oh, sorry. Oh, Laura.
Did you have something you want to say from your from your report?
No.
Okay, Councillor Savage.
Thank you, Worship. Just under mine, I have King's Regional Sewer, but I'll be reporting on that later under new business, so I'll just leave that.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Pulsifer, you have your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment on the library status. Due to the state of emergency, the libraries will be closed until further notice. So I just wanted to, we had gotten an email from the manager there of our Annapolis Valley Regional Library today. So, and also under Kings Point to Point, did you want me to do the actual committee report on that now, or just...
Unless it has something to do with COVID, or if it is changing our budget in any way, you can dispense with that. Everyone, I'm going to assume, has read your report.
Okay, I will just comment on Kings Point to Point that they're operating at 10 to 15% as compared to their regular operation. They have 3 vehicles in operation now. I had originally indicated 2, but they have 1 vehicle going to Halifax for dialysis and cancer appointments, and 2 vehicles locally. So I just wanted to mention that.
All right, thank you very much. I noticed that our libraries are also a very high presence on the internet, particularly Facebook, linking in and getting books and that sort of thing. So
yes.
I guess that is a good news part of a very sad story, right?
Yes, they're active behind the scenes, but
excellent.
You can't physically go in, so.
Okay. Yeah. Councillor Andrew, I saw your hand up.
Well, I guess just, yeah, sorry. I just want to say thank you to Councillor Pulsifer for sharing, and that, you know, the fact that the Kings Point to Point is still operating was one of the factors, I think, that one of the considerations around our comfort level in ceasing operations with King's Transit. That, as well as the fact that some money has been dispersed through the RCMP that is specific to seniors needing to seek essential service. The only thing I wanted to as we move forward, I guess budgetary wise, there obviously will be discussions if any one of our services is stopped for any length of time, and Councillor Savage made reference to the fuel prices. Fuel prices have been actually favorable based on projections up till this point. They would be extremely favorable if they stayed at this rate for the transit service were in operation. And I can't actually recall where we were. I know that I believe that what's been approved for joint fire service is below, I think, what the hope was of the joint fire service, based on the argument I think we heard, or the contention we heard, that we need to build an inflation component in. So you know, hopefully when we get back on the ground, that's a discussion we can delve deeper into. But I don't honestly feel that I'm really equipped to field that one, but I just want to throw that out there so it's on record that there is something at some point we are going to have to come back to. So that's
excellent.
it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Maxwell, I note your hand is up.
Yes, I just had a question for Councillor Pulsifer. Has the library made any type of arrangements for books to be returned, or are they just going to wait on that?
Just wait, I believe. I really can't answer your question.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right. So if I could have a motion to, okay, after I've polled you, if you could just take your hands down, just so, okay, thank you. So if I could have a motion to accept the member of council's reports.
So moved.
Thank you. That's
Second.
Councillor Bolland.
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Maxwell. Councillor Andrew, how say you?
Yes.
I say yes. Councillor Pulsifer?
Yes.
Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes. Yes.
Bones on that, yes?
Yes.
Councillor Savage, how say you?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, how say you?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Okay, we have no correspondence. We'll move right into our new business. And the first item is Valley Waste bylaw. So Valley Waste has provided a proposed bylaw to the municipal owners for review and sanction prior to board approval. The council, so the motion that they're looking for is that council sanction the proposed Valley Waste bylaw to the Valley Waste Board of Directors. If I could have someone move that, please.
So moved.
Councillor Bolland.
Yeah.
And the
Second.
seconder, Councillor Maxwell.
Yep.
Thank you. All right, so we have, it's been moved and seconded that council sanction the proposed Valley Waste bylaw to the Valley Waste Board of Directors. Is there any discussion? Solicitor.
I just wanted to clarify the intent here. Is this so that the board can have further discussion on it? It wasn't clear to me what the intention is here. The bylaws are all adopted by the individual municipal units, and so it's not clear to me what's behind this.
So there's several changes that are coming about with Valley Waste, and what they wanted was all of the councils to review these to ensure that they met the requirement. And this is not our bylaw, this is the Valley Waste bylaw.
Yeah,
So
just
we
to
will
be
have
clear.
our own bylaw after this bylaw.
Yeah, so this is so that Valley Waste, before it distributes it to all the municipal units for adoption by each municipal unit, that they know everybody's on side.
CEO, she's been speaking with them, so I'll get her to clarify.
So we don't adopt this bylaw. This bylaw is the Valley Waste bylaw. So basically, this is a courtesy in that they have distributed it to all the partners. We were all given the opportunity for input, which we fed back to Valley Waste. And then they sent out their final draft just basically to make sure that all of the points that we had put forward were captured. And they were just waiting for each one of us to approve that our intentions were, our suggestions were captured in this. But it's their bylaw, and it goes through their bylaw process, not ours.
Sorry, this is an awkward situation in which to disagree, but these bylaws are each adopted by the partner municipalities. Valley Waste doesn't have bylaw authority. They simply draft a bylaw and give it to each partner to adopt within that municipal unit. So eventually this bylaw has to come back to the town of Kemptville to be adopted. I haven't been asked to review it. I often am not, so I need not, but I just need to make clear for the record that I haven't reviewed it. But eventually, and maybe this is the intent now, and this is why I'm asking, eventually it will come back to the town of Kemptville for first reading, then second reading, and adoption by town council.
Okay, that's not my understanding, but I can check into that. That's not my understanding, but I can check into that. Perhaps Councillor Bolling, can you?
Thank you. This bylaw is basically just a housekeeping issue. If you look, those who have the document, it's simply showing the removal of Annapolis County, towns of Bridgetown, Hantsport, and collection times being adjusted. So I think every municipal unit except for ourselves have approved this already. So it is simply just a housekeeping issue. This was tweaked and reviewed by the CAOs. So nothing dramatic in it at all if you look at your package. But this is the concept tonight, is to approve this. Then it goes back to Valley Waste. So it's like the budget that's coming as well. So that's my input.
If you approve it, then if there's any further steps to be taken, we can move forward with them. But that is the same understanding. But I will double check that.
Solicitor, is there anything further? I was very cautious in the word that I used because we were not approving a bylaw. We were, I guess we reviewed it and we've sanctioned what's on paper, if that makes sense. I was trying to use my best English.
I'm, as we speak, I have to say, I much preferred the old website where I could see the list of bylaws and quickly find the one I was looking for, because I'm never sure what word to search by, but Jennifer can probably pull it up very quickly. The bylaw that either you're replacing the existing bylaw that you have, or you're adopting amendments. And I think that that's going to be key, the process there, because you do have to have first reading and then second reading of this. Like I say, Valley Waste is simply an intermunicipal services body, no different than King's Transit. It has no bylaw powers. It can't make bylaws. It simply recommends bylaws to be adopted by its partners.
I think the premise of this was just that we review it, and if we had any changes, to be able to implement them, otherwise to push it back to the board. And then, as you say, I believe that that's when they will push it back to us for first and second reading.
Good.
So you are not approving this bylaw. What you're doing is that we have no further amendments to add to it, if that's the proper English word that I've used by saying sanctioned. So is there any further discussion? Are you ready for the question? The question is on adoption of the motion to sanction the proposed Valley Waste bylaw to the Valley Waste Board of Directors. Councillor Ballin, how say you?
Yes.
I say yes. Councillor Pulsifer?
Yes.
Councillor Savage, how say you?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Andrew, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, how say you?
Yes.
The motion is carried unanimously. Our next item of business is extending the due date on the Town of Kentville interim property tax bill. So you've all got the memo from Director Kroll, and basically the Town of Kentville is responding to the COVID-19 pandemic by making temporary changes to the above noted resolutions as it relates to the interim billing. For now, interim property tax bills due June 30th, 2020. They will still go out at the same time, but they won't be due until June 30th. The timeline will be revisited as the effects of the pandemic unfold in Nova Scotia over the next few weeks. We do encourage any citizen with financial concerns to contact the town's finance department, and we will work with you to make payment arrangements on a case-by-case basis. We encourage all citizens who can stay up to date with their interim property tax payments to prevent a large balance when the final property tax bill is generated in August of 2020. So her recommendation is to Town Council that the due date for the interim property tax bill in 2020 is June 30th, 2020. So if we have a motion that Council approve the extension of the due date on the Town of Kentville interim property tax bills to June 30th, 2020 to minimize the economic effects of COVID-19 on our residents and business owners.
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Maxwell.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Savage. Second. It has been moved and seconded that Council approve the extension due date on Town of Kentville interim property tax bills to June 30th, 2020 to minimize the economic effects of COVID-19 on our residents and business owners. Is there any discussion?
If you will, Your Worship, before we move on to the discussion.
All right, thank you.
Just before we move on to the discussion, I'll just, I'm sure most of you received the email from NSFM from Pam Mood with regards to the property tax deferral program. So NSFM and the AMA are working to develop a program that basically is provincially led as a business solution. They're hoping that they can, and I'll just very quickly review it. Our objective is to make sure as many businesses as possible remain viable when this national emergency is over. We understand that it's essential to introduce a mechanism now to ensure municipal revenues continue to flow so we can continue to deliver essential services to businesses and residents. No municipality within Nova Scotia, not even HRM, has the financial capacity to defer property tax collection for a period longer than 90 days. The capacity of many municipalities is substantially less than that. We know that not all municipalities are on equal footing. In order to protect us all, we're aiming to develop a program that benefits all municipalities. In order to achieve that, and in conjunction with AMA, we are asking municipalities to consider holding off on individual decisions regarding taxes while this work is being done. As municipalities put forward their plans, expectations are set for neighboring municipalities to follow suit. And we know not everyone has the capacity to do that. Let us do the work. So all I would suggest at this point, my recommendation would be, is that we follow the recommendations of our Director of Finance, and then if there's any changes that we can make later or amendments we can make later to fall in with the NSF and the AMA's proposal, we can do that at a later date. But it's just in my experience, waiting for AMA and NSFM to put something out tends to take too long. And I think that, there are announcements being made, and I think that, our businesses and residents need to know that we are thinking about them, that we're moving forward with something. And if the AMA and NSFM recommendations are better than what we're offering, then we can look at amending our decision at a later date.
Discussion?
Question?
So,
Question is on, sorry?
sorry, I had my hand raised there.
Okay.
So I better use my real hand. I just want to be clear for the record that I believe that what council's doing here is pursuant to section 111 sub 2 of the Municipal Government Act. And you're simply changing the date for payment of taxes.
Yes.
And you're not actually amending a policy for payment of interim taxes. This is changing the date for payment, and that matters because changing the date for payment of interim taxes is a policy change, which you have a process that you have to go through. But that section 111 isn't a policy one. That's simply setting the due date, and the taxes are due and payable as soon as the tax rate is set. Sorry, if you haven't set a due date for taxes, so you're setting a due date. If this is intended to be a change to the policy, we just have to make sure that the resolution is as a policy, right? That this decision is made as a policy. That part wasn't clear to me. It sounded like Director Cole was suggesting amendment to the policy, which is also fine if that's the intention.
No, it's one time.
No, it's a one-time. It's for COVID-19 only. It's not a policy change.
I guess my point is that if it's changing the policy, then it is a policy change, and that's fine. You can change it back later. I just it wasn't clear to me what it was. We have to be careful in this COVID-19 era that we still follow what the legislation says, because it doesn't change the legislation, and we can certainly do this. I'm not suggesting that we can't, that you can't. I just want to make sure that we're doing it, that we're following the right rules as we do it. So either it's simply changing the due date for taxes, or it's amending the policy, and it doesn't matter from my perspective which one. I just think we need to be clear which one it is.
We're changing the due date. Is there any further discussion? The question is on approval of the extension of the due date on the Town of Kentville interim property tax bills to June 30th, 2020 to minimize the economic effects of COVID-19 on our residents and business owners. Councillor Maxwell, how say you? Oh,
yeah, sorry. Yes, we moved that. Yes.
So you're a yes?
There was a lot of discussion there.
Councillor Savage, how say you?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Andrew, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Pulsifer, how say you?
Yes.
I say yes. The motion is carried unanimously, and we will have something up tomorrow on our website letting our citizens know that that we have passed this motion. All right, moving on to the next item with regards to interest charges on outstanding accounts. And once I'm finished this, the CAO has got a couple of words of follow-up for it. So the town of Kentville is responding from April 1st to June 30th, 2020. The town of Kentville will waive interest charge on all outstanding accounts, including property taxes, water rates, and sanitary sewer rates. We encourage any citizen with financial concerns to contact the town finance department. So she is recommending to town council that interest charges on all outstanding accounts are waived from April 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2020. And this encompasses property tax, water rates, and sanitary sewer rates. So the motion is that council approve the waiving of interest on all town of Kentville property tax bills and water, sewer, utility bills during the period of April 1 to June 30th, 2020 to minimize the economic effects of COVID-19 on our residents and business owners.
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Andrew. Councillor Maxwell, I saw your hand. Second.
Second, yeah.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded that council approve the waiving of interest on all town of Kentville property tax bills and water, sewer, utility bills during the period of April 1st to June 30th, 2020 to minimize the economic effects of COVID-19 on our residents and business owners. CAO, if you could follow that up, please, with the information.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure that
You're on mute.
I just wanted to make sure, Your Worship and Council, that you are aware that under our Nova Scotia Utility Review Board with regards to water, our decision, we have to have the UARB's permission to waive the interest charges in that manner, and we do have written permission to do that.
Is there any further discussion? Solicitor, please.
So this change is a policy change. So and it's just for that period, but we follow the policy rules because this is laid out in policy and you can only establish interest by policy. So so the resolution is passing an amendment to the policy, but that amendment's clear.
Okay, thank you. So to our mover and our seconder, this friendly amendment is that we would be amendment to the policy, approval of the waiving of interest, amendment to policy on all Town of Kentville property tax bills and water and sewer utility bills during the period of April 1st to June 30th, 2020 to minimize the economic effects of COVID-19 on our residents and business owners. Is that okay with both the mover and the seconder? Thank you. I'm just writing it down here. Okay, on the vote, Councillor Maxwell, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Savage, how say you? Councillor Andrew, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Pulsifer, how say you?
Yes.
I say yes. Deputy Mayor, how say you?
Yes.
And that motion is carried unanimously. And again, that will go out tomorrow on our website so that our citizens are fully aware of it. Okay, the next item on our business is council decision making in COVID-19 protocols. You have before you a memo, and what I'm requesting here is that until COVID-19 pandemic posture returns to normal, that we adopt temporary procedures outside our normal G17 meeting policy as follows. That we suspend in-person meetings to comply with the ministerial order of 22nd of March 2020 and use the Zoom application to meet. We suspend Facebook live streaming and post the video of the proceedings within, that should say within, not with, within 3 business days of the meeting. The chair will poll each member of the council during the voting process. Councillor, how say you? And we suspend CAC meetings in favor of council meetings. This would put us in decision-making mode each time we meet. Staff would not be present for the meeting, but their reports would be provided to us as usual. Any questions could be sent to the CAO, CC'd council and mayor for clarification or further information. If members of council do not feel that they have enough information to make a decision, the item can be tabled until more information is provided. And our next council meeting would be April the 13th. So I recommend the following motion to adopt temporary procedures outside our normal G70 meeting policy for COVID-19 protocols to minimize meeting frequency and permit council to make timely decisions. And further, we suspend in-person meetings to comply with the ministerial order of the 22nd of March 2020 and use the Zoom application. And further, we suspend Facebook live streaming and post the video of proceedings within 3 business days of the meeting, and further that the chair poll each member of council during the voting process. Councillor, how say you? And further, we suspend CAC meetings in favor of council meetings, and that should also say as required. So that if we have no business of COVID-19 or of a budgetary, that we wouldn't, or essential business, that we would not hold a meeting just so that we can look at each other.
Your worship, I have a question.
Could we move that first to get it on the floor?
So moved.
I'll move it.
So who moved that? Sorry, I had my head down. Councillor Oscar?
John.
Oh,
One
okay.
of us.
Okay, sorry. That's what happens when my head is down. I can't see you. So John and Lynn, thank you.
Okay.
This is going to be a terrible recording for tomorrow when people see this on Facebook.
Everyone understands.
All right, so it's been moved and seconded that council adopt temporary procedures outside our normal G70 meeting policy. It's on the table. Discussion. Councillor Savage, you had something.
Yeah, thank you, worship. Just a question around upcoming budget meetings. Like, I know this is the time of year when we start those. Has there been any consideration given to those?
Yes, we will be conducting our budget meeting as per normal. We're working with, we'll work with Jason so that we can get it up on the screen for you. But we will work through that as if you were all sitting in the room as best that we can. And hopefully your schedule is usually, your first budget meeting is usually somewhere around the first part of April or your April CAC. So we'll try to get something scheduled for in and around that time.
Councillor Maxwell, you had your hand up.
Yes, are dates going to be CAC dates from here going forward?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It'll depend on business, but you will have enough time, and much like the last time, a package will be delivered to you so that you can have a good look at it and go through it, and then pose any questions that you require. And when you're posing questions back to staff, please pose them to the CAO with a CC to the director that you're posing them to, and in the CC column as well, put council and mayor so that everyone's in the loop, so that we're not each asking the same question more than once, if that could be. Councillor Andrew.
I just wondered, will our various directors be, well, they don't have to necessarily be attending, but will they be available in the event of questions at those times? Or are we just not expecting to dive that deep into the
we'll only be doing essential business, so you'll have the package a minimum of 5 days before any meeting, and you would have an agenda before that, and then you can back and forth. Go
So
ahead.
you mentioned the package. So these packages are delivered to our home?
Some of them.
Sorry, you had the option, and those that wanted them delivered did respond to us. So
Oh, okay.
Councillor Andrew, you
All
did
right.
respond.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
So, but no, we've made arrangements that
All right.
some of the counselors came and picked them up, and some of the other counselors, we delivered them right to their doorstep. So
My
that
apology.
arrangement will remain that way.
Okay.
And hopefully, you know, have a look through. And then when we do the budget, we will have Director Kroll on with us at that time. And so, you know, what questions you may come up with afterwards or during discussions, she will be participating in the budget meeting with all of us so that you know, we don't have to wait too long. So if there's questions that you can submit before our meeting, that would be great. And then she'll also be participating in these meetings so that if something comes up at that time, we can basically get it answered right away.
Councillor Bolland, you have your hand up.
Oh, thank you. Being somewhat logical here, if they're letting schools resume May 1st, I would then probably expect the provincial ban will be lessened, right? So we may be back to regular business and regular
Unlikely.
I
meetings
think
after
the
May
plan is
1st.
Very
the
unlikely.
schools are closed at least till May. There's no, it's to be reevaluated.
Oh, okay,
No, they're
I'm
not
always the
closed.
optimist, so after May 1st, maybe we'll be,
Mm.
we'll see.
Always good to be optimistic.
Exactly. Keep your glass half full. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, do we have any further discussion on that one? So are you ready for the question? The question is on adoption of the motion to adopt the temporary procedures outside our normal G70 meeting policy for COVID-19 protocol to minimize meeting frequency and permit council to make timely decisions and further and further and further. And I will poll the members. Councillor Andrew, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes?
I say yes. Councillor Pulsifer, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Savage, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, how say you?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor, how say you?
Yes.
All right, the motion is carried unanimously. All right, we're moving on to Regional Sewer 2020-2021 budget.
I have
Councillor Savage, oh, certainly. Councillor Maxwell?
since we're on COVID-19, I had a resident ask me what we're doing for homeless people in and around Kentville. If we are, you know, do we have a shelter for them? What if they need to isolate, self-isolate? Have we thought about that? Is there anything in the works with that or that I can pass on?
I'm going to throw this directly to Councillor Andrew. He has been at the forefront of this with, it began with our MLA and Marissa Davidson and several others. But I'm going to say that Open Arms and our very own Councillor Andrew have truly taken the lead on this. So John, if you could just give folks a little briefing on this, please.
Yeah, so it's kind of heartbreaking actually. So we've been involved. We have and several, well, a couple of Valley hospitals have actually sent people who are experiencing temporary homelessness to shelters in Halifax. Now the issue is that those shelters are full, and there's pop-up shelters that are even more unsafe. So right now, I'm having a discussion. So I should go backwards to say that we have, I think all told, about 140 volunteers that make shelter happen here normally. 2 weeks ago, we decided some of the volunteers wanted to keep going, I would say half of those volunteers are seniors. And so we made the decision, and almost never do, I say we, Open Arms made the decision as the steering entity for In From the Cold. Almost never do we do that. We just said, no, folks, we're going to shut our doors. So we have paid for bus fare to get some people to Halifax. So right now there's discussion that is around a fairly local motel. Unfortunately, there's not one right in Kentfield, but and there's some talk with provincial officials because the type of people or the situations around homelessness here, we tend to not have that street culture kind of folks. We have people where youth needs to be taken out of the home for their own safety or a domestic issue, and sometimes it is people with other issues. So we're trying to figure out whether that can happen. It sounds like there's some provincial money that can be diverted that way, and we're just not sure what that looks like, whether we have a volunteer. Obviously, everyone would have to be separate from one another, but a motel seems like the safest option right now for people. They'd have to be vetted in terms of if they're, if they have mental health challenges that are quite severe, then there's other facilities that are the right places for them to go. But if they're basically vetted and they're safe individuals with some supervision, and they're willing to cooperate with self-isolation, a motel and food deliveries seems like a system that might work. But it is sending someone away from their supports is the exact opposite of our philosophy, and the exact reason why we have In From the Cold here, so we can help people if they're from Middleton or Kentville or Coldbrook, that they can stay as close to those people and resources that are important to them. So we are working on that. And I guess I can add, although you opened that up earlier, Mayor Snow, is that as of I think Thursday, so the first objective with Open Arms, in fact, the week before we decided to close, I think we made the decision to close on the 8th for regular drop-in, soup kitchen, that kind of thing. So the week before that, some of our people just had some foresight, and they began getting people's information. We didn't always know their addresses and phone numbers and all those kind of things. And so the first focus was, let's make sure that we're attending to the needs of those folks, many of whom have a number of challenges. And then now it's extended beyond that. So as of Thursday, there were 105 households, and those may be single individuals. In some cases, I know their families around Kentville and surrounding, that are receiving everything from regular wellness calls to food supports, most of those in cooperation with Fundy Food Bank, and also referrals. So I expect Wednesday. So all of that's being done online. Online is great, but it's not great for everyone, and especially with the population that is at risk here. So we're working with a very trained, probably the most qualified person to run helplines in this area, if not nationally, as oversees some of those suicide hotline nationally and a number of other things. So we have a group who are trained peer supporters, volunteers and staff, and those people are undergoing an extensive day and a half training right now to prepare to operate what's called a warm line. So it's not an emergency line. Obviously, there's other places you call for emergencies, but that people could call who need either referrals or food helps, or simply to be on a list, to get a call once or twice a week to just say, hey, are you doing okay? Are you hanging in there? That kind of thing. So there's a lot of work, and I don't want to take too much credit for it, because this is a lot of people, and it's taken a lot of hours by a lot of people, far beyond me. But it's been great to take part of it. And I guess I should just brag on Kentville. Kentville is, when I look around, is in pretty good shape. I think we have the the capacity and the infrastructure with the supporting agencies, that kind of thing, we're in good shape. I don't see a food security crisis looming. Certainly in Kentville, certainly in Kentville and the surrounding area. I think there's a lot of supports there. So, sorry, I went on longer than I intended, but I know most of council is somewhat aware, I think, of the efforts that have been going on. And anyway, it's just it's a privilege to be part of it. And when the rubber hits the road, we're all together in this. So.
Yeah. No, thank you, John. I just needed further information. I knew what you were doing, but I needed some further information. So
Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Thank you. Councillor Savage, I guess you're our regional sewer rep. If you could give us the quick and dirty on this.
Quick and dirty on the sewer.
Sewer.
So folks, this is just the regional sewer operating and capital budget for 2020 and 2021. So Councillor Andrew attended the last regional sewer meeting because I was out of the country, and the budget was presented there at that meeting, and the regional sewer committee took it away or suggested or recommended that we take it to our respective councils. And so that's what I'm doing for you today. So you have the package in your budget. Sorry, you have the budget in your package. What time is it? 5:29. It's almost time. Okay, so under financial implications for the operating and capital budget, we have for the town of Kentville, our contribution is requested to be $757,100 this year, which you'll see is a 50% share of the budget. And if folks look at the draft budget for 2020, 2021, you see the town of Kentville, our share is $757,100. Last year it was $727,000, so it is an increase year over year of 4%, that being $30,100. You'll see some of the other partners, most of them have gone up with the exception of the village of New Minas. And I had that conversation with Director Bell, and New Minas has really done a great job in the last year of controlling their BODs and their total suspended solids. They are a lot of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Fast food restaurants. They're very particular about what they put down the sink, what they're, screening, using screens on their fat and things like that. So theirs actually went down year over year, but we see PepsiCo went up 7%, and the municipality of the County of Kings went up 7%. So that's for the operating budget. There's further information in there around operating and capital as well. But if we go to the capital part, our increase year over year for the capital part is 8,800 year over year. One of the things that I meant to send a note to Deb yesterday, and it slipped my mind, but CAO Rice, you may be able to, I'm assuming you've read this, right? Yes, okay. So under where it says the 5-year capital plan,
Yes.
there's a section there that says desludging work to be completed in 2022-2023 is a new item to the capital plan. In order to facilitate this work, various projects previously contemplated in 2019-2020 5-year capital plan have been delayed. The delays were necessary in order to manage the capital reserve balance and to avoid the need for significant debt financing. So I wondered about that, if Director Kroll had any comments about that, because I know in the past we've had discussions around what level of debt will be taken on, and there seems to be a bit of an adversary to taking on debt. I just wondered if she had mentioned anything about that, and if not, no worries.
So the municipality, the County Kings, owns the regional sewer, and So the debt ratio would be reflected under there. So this is a service that we purchase
Right.
from Kings County. So if there was debt to be taken on, that would be reflected within their 15%,
Right.
not
Okay.
in ours.
No.
Sludge removal, that project is it's quite significant.
Yes.
And so, you know, they are planning a little bit ahead to get a reserve in place
Okay.
before they actually start the work. Now, Director Bell can give you more of the technical side of that.
Okay.
But I do know that sludge removal of the type that they're proposing is quite a significant project.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay. The last part of this is the capital reserve, and as for the town of Kemptville as us as a partner, it's a 4% increase to capital contributions, and it is $8,800. So all that being said, that's what I'm recommending that we adopt. Oh wow, that must be the sun coming in. Oh, that's better. Okay, sorry. I'll just move around a bit. Yes, that's what I'm recommending to council. Sorry. So, yep.
So let me be clear. It's the numbers that are on the first page. It's a $1.5 million budget, right? And that includes both operations and capital.
Yes, it does. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
My apologies if that was ambiguous.
No, it wasn't until we started looking at the other stuff. So we have a motion to approve the Regional Sewer Committee approved 2020-2021 Regional Sewer operational budget of $1,512,600 with the town of Kemptville share at $757,100.
Second.
Thank you.
Second.
That was Councillor Savage. Second?
Yep, Savage. Yep.
Councillor Bolland. So it's been moved and seconded that council approve the Regional Sewer Committee approved 2020-2021 Regional Sewer operational budget of $1,512,600 with the town of Kemptville share at $757,100. Is there any discussion? Are you ready for the, Councillor Bolland?
Yeah, just again, if we have any comments by our citizens, you can see on, I'm not sure what page it is, but under capital 5-year, I mean, replacing gravity lines under our new bridge, replacement of 8 18-inch sewer lines to the Glue Cap Curling Club. So, you know, you have to spend money to make these capital changes. So it's quite evident in this package what we're getting for this this approval. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Maxwell.
So what I'm reading here is that we are the largest consumer of the sewer. Is that correct? We don't own it, but we're the largest consumer of it.
Sucks, doesn't it?
We control a lot of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Are we taking a look at maybe finding a way to reduce that at all or not?
Council, just so if I may, Director Bell and I are having some preliminary conversations just between ourselves to look at possibilities.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
A good point though, Councillor Maxwell. Right.
Deputy Mayor.
Your mic is off, Deputy Mayor.
How's that?
Nice.
There we go. So I think I know the answer to this, but I know on Valley Waste and stuff like that, the largest consumer has a veto on the financials. We don't have any such thing on the sewer, do we?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Is there any further discussion? Councillor Bolland, did you have something else?
Yes, thank you. Let's keep in mind as well that we are the more that we expand and develop and promote our business park, that's also reflection on the sewer end as well. And that includes the current Sarsfield, Pie people and everybody else. So it's not just residential, but it's also commercial to the west end of town. So
All right,
keep that
thank
in
you.
mind. Yeah.
All right, if there's no further discussion, are you ready for the question? The question is on adoption of the motion to approve the Regional Sewer Committee approved 2020-2021 Regional Sewer Operational Budget of $1,512,600 with the Town of Kentville share at $750,100. How say you, Councillor Maxwell?
Yes.
Councillor Savage, how say you? Councillor Andrew, how say you?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Pulsifer, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes.
I say yes. Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. We're moving on to Joint Fire Services Committee Operational Budget. Councillor Andrew, this is your committee. Was there anything that you wanted to say with regards to this?
I'm open to questions perhaps, but I think I'm okay.
All right, then we'll move on with a motion to approve the Joint Fire Services Board approved 2020-2021 Kentville Volunteer Fire Department operational budget at $756,700 with the Town of Kentville share at $200,800. If I could have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that council approve the Joint Fire Service Board approved 2020-2021 Kentville Volunteer Fire Department operational budget at $756,700 with the Town of Kentville share at $200,800. Is there any discussion? There being no discussion, are you ready for the question? The question is on adoption of the motion to approve the Joint Fire Services Board approved 2020-2021 Kentville Volunteer Fire Department operational budget of $756,700 with the Town of Kentville share at $200,000. Oh my God, $200,800. Whoa. Deputy Mayor, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Andrew, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Pulsifer, how say you?
Yes.
I say yes. Councillor Maxwell, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Savage, how say you?
Yes.
That motion is passed unanimously. All right, since we have no public comment, we'll just keep moving on from that. We do, however, have in-camera business. You do have the agenda. So the council has confidential land and legal business concerning the sale of property, which must be conducted in a closed session. We require a motion to go into a closed session to discuss the agenda item. There may be a recommendation coming from this discussion. If I could have a motion, please, Councillor Maxwell, thank you.
Second.
And seconder, Councillor Bolland, thank you. And I'll just ask for a show of hands. It's been moved and seconded that council move into a closed session. All those in favor?
Sorry, Mayor Snow, just before we go into an in-camera session,
Okay.
just a question. I've had a few emails just during this meeting from folks that live on Park Street that their water is brown. Are we flushing anything out, CAO Rice, that you know of?
Nothing that I'm aware of, but I'll send a message to the engineer and get that looked at.
Thank you.
All right, back to the show of hands. Moving in camera. Motion is carried. Thank you. And the time is 17:45. All right, we now have business resulting from the closed session. So our first motion is with regards to the lot on River Street that council direct the CAO to proceed as directed in the closed session.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Councillor Maxwell, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Savage, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Pulsifer, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Andrew, how say you? Deputy Mayor, how say you?
Yes.
I say yes. Motion carried. On the offer of sale of land in the town of Kentville Business Park, the council direct the CAO to proceed as directed in the closed session.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on that?
Yeah.
The question is on adoption of the motion to direct the CAO to proceed as directed in the closed session. Councillor Pulsifer, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Savage, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Andrew, how say you? Councillor,
He's got his Council John, you have your microphone. Thank
There
you.
we go. Yes.
okay.
Sorry about that.
Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, how say you?
Yes.
I say yes. Motion carried. All right, the next one is on the.
What are you eating, John?
Extension.
Edibles. Edibles.
Okay.
Oh my God, those are the best.
We have a request
Because
for
nice.
an extension
Oh, wow.
to Encore Development.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Who seconded, sorry?
Eric did.
Eric, okay. So it has been moved and seconded that the council direct the CAO to proceed with, oh my God,
Grant the extension.
to grant the extension to Encore Development as requested in their letter. Is there any further discussion?
Question.
All right, the question is on extension or on granting of the extension to Encore Development. Councillor Andrew, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Savage, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Pulsifer, how say you?
Yes.
I say yes, motion is carried unanimously. All right, our next one is on the power easement. So the request is that council approve a 6.1 meter wide access and utility easement in favor of Nova Scotia Power along the south side of lot 2F and along the north side of the proposed lot 3D, D, E, and F in the Kentville Business Park.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Excuse
Thank
me.
you. Is there any discussion?
Sure.
All right, the question is on council approving the 6.1 meter wide access and utility easement in favor of Nova Scotia Power along the south side of lot 2F and along the north side of the proposed lot 3D F in the Kentville Business Park. Councillor Andrew, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Pulsifer, how say you?
Yes.
I say yes. Councillor Savage, how say you?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor, how say you?
Yes.
Motion is carried unanimously. We have one more. With regards to the amendment of the protective covenants in the Kentville Business Park, we're being requested to approve the amended Kentville Business Park protective covenants as presented. If I could have a motion? Okay. Thank you.
Second. Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the amended Kentville Business Park protective covenants as presented. Is there any discussion? With no discussion, moving to the question that we approve the amended Kentville Business Park protective covenants as presented.
So moved.
Yeah.
Councillor Pulsfer, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Savage, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Maxwell, how say you?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Andrew, how say you?
Yes.
Councillor Bolland, how say you?
Yes.
I say yes. Motion is approved unanimously. Okay, where are we? Adjournment. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned. A motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Thank you.
Good
Hey, night, you guys.
night.
Aloha.
Did we vote?
See ya.
Adjournment? Or you guys want to stick around?
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to go to my next Zoom meeting.
Nice evening,
Have a
everyone.
nice evening. Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Night.